Então, tomei uma decisão, amigos, mas qual papel? O papel. Qual papel? O papel. Qual papel? Tomei uma decisão institucional, ok? Que é, eu tinha-vos dito que eu ia comprar uma booster box de Spider-Man e ia ser basicamente, durante os próximos tempos, a última compra de Magic que eu ia fazer, ok? Decidi que não vou fazer isso. Decidi que não vou comprar essa booster box de Spider-Man. Vou deixar isso de lado. E em vez disso comprei sim uma booster box, mas de Battle for Baldur's Gate, ok? Epá, é um universo que eu gosto muito mais. Eu já tenho um deck Commander de Baldur's Gate e quero melhorar esse deck e fazer outro. Portanto, vamos comprar, ou já compramos, a booster box de Baldur's Gate, ok? E vamos abrir lá aqui em stream. Vamos ver o que é que sai. E vamos trabalhar com isso. E há de ser a minha última compra de Magic nos próximos tempos, porque olhem, eu não tenho... Spider-Man já perdi um bocado o interesse, porque já percebi que o set não vai ser muito bom. E Avatar também não tenho interesse nenhum. E as próximas expansões também não tenho grande interesse. Portanto, a menos que saia alguma coisa tipo louca, eu não tenho interesse. Portanto, é isso. Pá, estamos assim. De qualquer forma, isto é o gajo que se queixou do Universes Beyond. Sim, é aquela pessoa que se está sempre a queixar. Já ouvimos chorar sobre várias coisas. Eu não desgosto do conteúdo dele, acho interessante. Só que gosto é da discussão que surge do conteúdo dele. Portanto, vamos ver. Não compre pacotes do Homem-Aranha. Ou Don't Buy Boosters from Spider-Man. Compre estas cartas de Commander. Top 7 Magic the Gathering. Vamos ver. Eu acho que ele vai falar do coisa. Ele não se está a queixar. Ele não sei. Eu acho que ele vai recomendar cartas.
Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, what is the best new card for Commander? From Magic the Gathering's Marvel's Spider-Man, our newest set. Well, the number one pick for the best new card for your Commander 99 is overwhelmingly the Terminus of Return. One of the most powerful...
Mas isto é do set Spider-Man? Terminus Stone. Exile creature you control unless the Terminus of Return. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard. Porra!
Cards, not just of this set, but any set for Commander.
Esta
The
carta
Terminus of Return is an indestructible legendary artifact for 1 and a black
Christ.
that can tap to add black mana. In addition to being an untapped indestructible mana rock, for just 6 and a black, you can tap and exile a creature you control to harness the Terminus of Return. Harnessing the Terminus unlocks its origin ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Bro.
OMG, stapling an incredibly good effect onto it.
Bro, isto é absurdo. Esta carta é absurda, bro.
2 mana indestructible mana rock makes this just as much an auto include as Arcane Signet and
Pois é, bro,
Soul
what the
Ring if
fuck?
you're
Isto
in
é
a black
épico.
command.
Quanto é que isto custa? Desculpem. Eu não fazia ideia. Deixa-me ver. No card market. Quanto é que isto custa? Desculpem lá. Até estou confuso.
Enter deck.
Essas 7 cartas. Sim, que não tem nada a ver. Isto é basicamente um... Isto é... Deixa lá ver quanto é que isto custa. The Terminus of Return. Nem aparece esta carta, bro. Isto não aparece. Isto não existe. Isto é do set Spider-Man. Isto ainda não saiu. Isto é do set Spider-Man. Espera lá. Determine... Arena version of the Soul Stone. Isto é a Soul Stone, bro. Isto é a Soul Stone, bro. Eu já estava aqui a ver. Isto é... isto é a Soul Stone, bro. Isto é a Soul Stone. Ok, é a Soul Stone. Esqueçam. Não, este é a Soul
Honestly,
Stone.
you are literally at a
Ok,
disadvantage
é uma carta de Spider-Man, mas que eles mudaram para a Arena.
by not
Ok.
having this in your black decks going forward. Got nothing better to do for 7 mana? Just activate the indestructible mana rock you've had sitting on your field since
Pá, esta
turn
carta é
2.
ridícula.
You
Como é
can
que é,
return
Berna?
your Shieldred before you draw.
A Shieldred,
Overrun
eu
Coil
tenho.
Engine that
Yeah.
was sacrificed, or even
Eu
a
tenho a Shieldred.
Valagoth that was buried alive.
Valagoth.
Mana rock with late game potential is incredible. Everyone at the table better be running Farewell, because a Vandal Blast
Yeah.
just isn't gonna cut it anymore.
Esta carta também é ridícula, digo-vos já. A Farewell, pelo custo que tem, É um eu tive para comprar esta carta, mas depois pensei, isto não tem nada a ver com o tema do meu deck. Nada a ver, mas esta carta é ridícula. Eu tenho um amigo meu que tem esta carta, o Felipe, e joga com ela. Isto é absurdo. É tipo, vocês podem escolher estes efeitos todos e fazem tudo isto. Tipo, literalmente limpam o board a toda a gente. É ridículo.
This card is bold. This
Tem caras
card
do
is
Thanos.
powerful. This card goes in every black commander deck, and it is one of the best new cards for the 99 from Magic's newest set. What's more, What? What do you mean it's not available in paper? Are you for cereal?
No.
Well, then what is? Oh, it's the Soul Stone. Okay, so we all have to run the Soul Stone now. Well, at least...
Sim, qual é o problema? Tipo, isto é o nome do set. No Arena, como eles não têm os direitos, fizeram aquela. A Soul Stone.
We have choices in paper. We can run the Thanos version, or just the Spider-Man version of the Soul Stone. All black commander decks now run the Soul Stone. I mean, if you were to ask me, which you didn't, but you clicked on the video, so I'd say I prefer to run the Terminus version, you know, the Magic the Gathering version in my Magic the Gathering deck.
Eu também prefiro, mas eles não fizeram, certo?
But it is digital only. If only there were some way, some possibility for them to print this card in paper. Print this card in paper. Print the card, but such an option does not exist.
Ou seja, estão a ver o que eu digo? É isto que me irrita uma beca, mano. Que é, eu não percebo, mano, a aversão... Para já estes gajos criaram uma aversão ao Universes Beyond, bro. Tipo, literalmente isto tem que ser uma aversão ao Universes Beyond. Porque qual é a porra da diferença, mano, de tu teres uma Soulstone ou uma Terminus Rock, bro? Tipo, é igual, a carta faz o mesmo. É só para dizer que no tema não entra bem. A Soulstone eu até acho que nem é grave. Tipo, é que nem é assim tão desajustado do tema, tipo, do Magic. Uma Soulstone podia existir perfeitamente num set Magic normal. Agora, para eles não, tem que ser a Terminus Rock. E como eles não imprimiram a carta da Terminus Rock, eles já estão todos a bater mal. Então agora vão fazer aquilo que tivemos a falar no outro dia, que é imprimir cartolinas e jogar com ela. Epá, para mim isso não faz sentido nenhum, mas tudo bem.
I'm just joking, of course, for legal reasons. Whether you love Spider-Man or...
Isto é incentivar, é o que eu digo.
Feel dead inside, there are many great card designs that will be perfect for the 99 of your commander decks. In this video, I have picked the top 7 cards that are not the Soul Stone that I'm most excited to pick up as singles. Need I even say it at this point? Booster packs are for draft. Well, maybe not Spider-Man booster packs, but other booster packs are for draft. So it's even more true for this set than others that if there are cool and awesome cards...
eles fizeram isso tudo porque eles não têm a licença para fazer isto no Arena. Para lançar estas cartas no Arena. Percebes? Então fizeram outros designs para lançarem no Arena, digitalmente. Eles não têm as licenças digitais das cartas do Spider-Man. Então para lançarem no Arena, tiveram que fazer versões alternativas das cartas, percebes?
You want to pick up for Commander, don't buy packs, just buy the singles you want for the decks you want to play. Or, you know, just buy my TCC shirt that I'm wearing because for a limited time only I am celebrating 1.2 million subscribers and the 10-year anniversary of our original Tellurian Community College t-shirt logo design with our new back-to-school line of TCC shirts, hoodie, pins and even...
Pá, mas sabes qual é que era o problema de lançarem fisicamente? É que depois as pessoas não iam comprar as cartas de Spider-Man. Percebes, Turo? Depois as pessoas iam comprar essas. Os gajos de Magic já não iam comprar. Assim é obrigar os gajos de Magic a comprarem Spider-Man, mano. Que eu até gosto do conceito. Ou compram Spider-Man ou então tens que jogar com papéis. Basicamente é isso. Diogo, como é que estás?
This new take on the classic Tellurian Community College logo looks incredible in mystic gray and green dragon scale design. We also have this incredible gold leaf and blazing...
Já percebemos que tipo, isto é promoção.
Cards in your commander decks. First up, I have an honorable mention for a card that maybe isn't as powerful as the rest on this list, but is sure to make you really popular around the table.
Qual é a carta?
Cheering Crowd is a 2/2 human citizen for 1 generic and a hybrid Gruul mana that reads, at the beginning of each player's first main phase, that player may put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. If they do, they add a colorless mana for each counter on it. The applications for Cheering Crowd are pretty clear-cut. Everyone at the table gets to make use of the mana, but those who make use of the mana later get more out of it than those who make use of it earlier. Best case scenario, by the time it gets back to you at the end of the first turn cycle in play, Cheering Crowd will be a 6/6 that nets you 4 colorless mana. I really like this card, but it is ultimately just an honorable mention slot. It has the potential to make big mana, sure, if the pod goes for the May ability, or they use the mana and remove it on the spot.
Basicamente é isso. Esta carta é engraçada, mas tem bué potencial para dar backfire.
Crowd accelerates the game, but ultimately it's just a fun social card for a pod and not a game-breaking one. Nonetheless, I really wanted to shout it out because I think it is a fun and interesting card.
Porque eles muito provavelmente têm que justificar à Marvel depois os números de compras. Eles vão querer, porque este set inicial de Spider-Man é uma porta aberta para a Marvel, mano. É uma porta aberta para a Marvel descarregar dinheiro no Magic, bro, e começar a fazer sets de tudo e mais alguma coisa. Avengers... estás a perceber? Eles não querem que isso se perca, eles querem o hype inicial. Estás a perceber? Olá, Sofia.
Let's get on to juicier picks. Next up, we have a powerful and flexible mass blink spell that many blue Magic players will love. Hide on the Ceiling is an instant for 1 blue and X generic mana that reads, exile X target artifacts and or creatures. Return the exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. There are so many ways to use this powerful card to great effect. You can use it on offense, clearing away the blockers of an opponent or multiple opponents to set up a massive attack. Or you can use it on defense, blinking away a massive attacking force that would otherwise spell the end for you. Imagine hitting an opponent's entire board of creatures after they landed a Crater Hoof Behemoth. You can also use it politically, clearing away opposing blockers so a different opponent can come in and make a sizable hit.
Essa carta é brutal para limpar.
You can use it selectively, clearing only those creatures that are attacking you and those that could block any creatures attacking an opponent. Blue rarely receives blink effects and has never received a mass blink effect before this. And just one look at its casting cost shows that WotC Design did not want to make this card cheap. The absolute best way to navigate around the absurd cost of blinking your entire board brings with it a Hinata Dawn Crowned. Spend a single blue mana to target as many creatures as you like with Hide on the Ceiling and reap those ETB rewards. You hide on the ceiling, and you hide on the ceiling, and you hide on the ceiling. Do you remember that? Do you remember that reference? It was Oprah. Everyone hide on the ceiling. I liked the GIF where it was bees. I also say GIF really, but I'm tired of people yelling at me about it. But remember when it was bees? When Oprah, bees! That was funny. Oh, and then there's the Tom Cruise and she's like zapping him with lightning. Do you remember that one? Those should be Magic cards now. Why aren't those Magic cards? Okay, next.
Tipo, imagina, é que depois este homem está a recomendar cartas do set Spider-Man e enquanto o faz, manda vir com as cartas de Spider-Man, bro. Tipo, que épico. Tipo, mas neste game, estão mesmo chateados, pá, eu não percebo. Costumava ver estes streams no YouTube. Olha, mas agora podias ter passado para o YouTube, Choco, porque já tens chat lá, bro.
Next up is a powerful card that is going to become a fast auto-include in many Commander decks.
Quando o detergente e o amaciador fazem match, o perfume fica contigo. Surf faz o match perfeito.
Os jantares longos em família e os dias de praia chegaram ao fim. E por isso, poupa dobrar com Little Blues.
Sim, sem dúvida, isso é.
Web of Life and Destiny is a massive 8-mana green enchantment with Convoke that reads, at the beginning of combat on your turn, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is a huge and splashy effect, and it's very easy to let your imagination run wild with all the possibilities for big boys to drop into play for free. You know, little-known cards like Atali, or the very off-the-radar Blightsteel Colossus. Remember, this card requires 8 mana in order for you to play it. I don't know if you know this, but 8 is a lot of mana for a Magic card, and if you're spending 8 mana on putting the Web of Life and Destiny into play, then any discount you'd get from putting a big creature into play is diminished significantly by the cost you spent to play the Web of Life and Destiny.
Certo.
But Web of Life and Destiny has Convoke, so you'll never be spending 8 mana on this spell. In fact, if you have the right board state, you might spend as little as 0 mana to cast this. Wow. If you do that, all of a sudden the mana discounts you get on the creatures you put into play are going to pay huge dividends. Thank you for your service, my 801 plant tokens, but I would like an Ulamog now. This card is a great addition to any
O Lamog é bué da forte também. Este é Eldrazi.
deck that already wanted to shove big creatures onto the battlefield, but does not benefit from being a build
acaso não
around
conhecia.
card. It doesn't require top deck
Serve faz um
manipulation
match
because it
perfeito.
goes 5 cards deep all on its own, and gives you an
Estás a
immediate
ver? Isto é
return on
vídeo super
investment
interessante
since
deste
it
gajo.
activates
Aqui eu
the
pelo menos
start of
percebo
combat.
quais é que são as
Paired
boas
with a
cartas
haste enabler,
para ter em mente deste set.
you could even start swinging with any creature
Não,
you
ainda
find
se joga
each
bué,
turn. Don't change your deck one
bué
bit,
forte.
just shove this bad boy
Não sei
right
se vai
in.
haver muitos Planewalkers neste set.
We've got another big enchantment for you at the number 4 slot. A wonderful card named after how I feel each and every day as a Magic the Gathering YouTuber or influencer.
O universo de Magic é original, sim. É tipo, é de Magic e é da Sword of the Coast. É tipo, o universo de Magic é partilhado entre Magic, D&D e Baldur's Gate, por exemplo. É tudo da mesma cena, são várias planes.
Imposter Syndrome is a 6-mana blue enchantment that depicts the popular internet meme, Spider-Man points at Spider-Man. Yes,
gira
even
também.
I, the professor, know about Spider-Man points at Spider-Man. And you know, I'm actually surprised we didn't get a magic card called, but I don't want to
Foda-se,
cure
forte este
cancer.
enchantment.
Anyway, back to Imposter Syndrome. Whenever a non-token creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create
Yeah.
a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary.
Okay,
my
sim.
oh my, can this thing positively pop
Porra,
off in the mid
absurdo
to late
isto.
game. It doesn't have any of that one or more creatures nonsense, nor anything else that would prevent this from triggering off of every single creature dealing combat damage. Every
Yeah.
single one. The only thing preventing Imposter Syndrome from exploding your board to exponential heights is the inclusion of the word non-token in the text
Yeah,
box.
yeah.
In other words, the clones you make of your creatures won't themselves spawn additional clones.
Yeah.
But you can still copy legendary creatures.
Bem, também era melhor que fizesse isso, foda-se, era ridículo. Por amor de Deus. Era um absurdo
Any
se
creature
fizesse
with a
isso.
great ETB will be more than happy to pop out an identical token sibling.
Yeah.
The biggest downside of this card is you have to deal combat damage, but you're playing Commander. There are 3 players to swing at, so that downside is not actually too much
Well,
of
no.
a downside. Mole Drifter, Snapcaster Mage, or even something as big as Kappa Cannoneer copied just like that. And those are just mono blue creatures. Imagine doubling your Tivits, Yuriko, or even your Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, who just happens to be a creature during
Yeah.
your turn.
Yeah.
Imposter Syndrome is the type of card that's at its best in decks of lower brackets. It's also at its best in decks of higher brackets. All right, I'm going to be honest with you. This is great in any deck. Powerful, splashy, and a ton of fun. And most importantly, it encourages
Desculpem. É bem provável que estas cartas voltem eventualmente noutros sets, sabem?
blue players to do something
Yeah,
other
tem,
than sit back and counter
Ele
every
tá
single
triggered
spell
com o
that hits the
Spider-Man.
stack. What's not to love?
Mas com as cartas não, estas cartas são boas, pá.
Moving on to the chair, and I went with an ergonomic
Estas
offering
cartas
from
são
Seagood.
muito,
It comes
muito
in either
boas.
white or black,
Fazem
and at least
efeitos
for
muito
me,
bons.
I think it
In the years since the Commander Discord of White Sox reached its fever pitch, thanks in no small part to outrage farming YouTubers, I mean concerned Commander players, White has actually received many powerful enchantments for
Wow.
the format. In addition to Smothering Tithe, we have cards like Trouble in Pairs, Monologue Tax, and so many, many, many more. The next card on the list is the latest in this fine White Commander playable lineage. Rent is Due, cleverly previewed on the first of the month.
At the beginning of your end step, you may tap 2 untapped creatures and treasure tokens you control. If you do, draw a card, otherwise sacrifice this enchantment. What?
1 mana white enchantment that
Oh,
reads
one
at
mana,
the beginning
okay.
of your end step, you may tap 2 untapped creatures or treasures.
não sei
If
se
you
são muito
do,
bom.
draw a card. If you
Não
don't,
sei se é assim,
then
então é um
sacrifice
card draw
this
infinito, mas
enchantment.
tipo.
Rent is Due is a great card draw engine for white creature decks. It's essentially like paying rent to be the monarch, except without the possibility of losing it through combat. Can you imagine the monarch paying rent? What a world that would be. Unlike many of the other white enchantments
É, ok.
I named at the top of this section, Rent is
Mandaram,
Due doesn't
porquê?
interfere
Pedro,
with
onde
or
está?
punish your opponent's game plans at all. If
É pá, sim,
anything,
mas é
it's
diferente,
interfering
Bruno.
with your own game plan, as the price you have to pay to keep paying rent is not insignificant. Tapping down 2 creatures or treasures is a real cost to have to pay turn after turn.
Yeah,
Your
claro
opponents
que é,
can
porra.
even 2-for-1 you if you only leave 2 creatures back to
Yeah.
tap on your end step. If
Yeah.
they cast a removal spell on one of those 2 creatures in response to the Rent is Due trigger, you can
Yeah.
say goodbye to both the creature you lost
Yeah.
and your card draw engine.
Yeah.
Tapping to Rent is Due is a great way to use powerful guys you don't want to risk in combat on either offense or defense, like an Esper Sentinel, Soul Warden, or Dark Confidant.
Certo.
All those
São
downsides
cartas
aside, though, this is still a very good card. It costs only 1 mana to start, and white decks
Certo.
often have plenty
Mas eu não acho que
of
seja
disposable
comparável
creatures
aqui.
around that they don't mind tapping to Rent is Due. These don't have to be dinky little tokens either. For a dorky little enchantment that you can get going early, I'd say Rent is Due is worth the price you pay to keep paying rent. I guess the flavor on this card is a little wonky, but hey, that's Spider-Man for you. I guess the idea is that having to sacrifice your rent is due is like getting evicted, right? I don't really know. Don't think about the real-world implications of the card.
Mas não
Just
ia
put it in your
perder
deck.
essa-
Put it in
isso
your
é-
deck. Pick it up and put it in your
Fizeste
deck.
troca,
So
sem
what
dúvida.
are the top 2 best new cards from Spider-Man for the 99 of your Commander decks? Well, next up we have another engine-style enchantment, this time in red. Shadow of the Goblin costs 1 and a
Já
red
tinha
and
visto
has
este.
2 abilities. The first is that at the beginning of your first main
É
phase,
cycle.
discard a card. If you do, draw a card.
Não
The
adoro.
second reads, whenever you play a land or cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, this enchantment does 1 damage to each opponent. On its
Okay.
face, this card is intended as an enabler and payoff to all the Mayhem cards in Spider-Man. Mayhem is a new take on the Madness mechanic, allowing you to cast spells from your yard for their Mayhem cost if they were discarded this turn. And certainly in those decks, such as one piloted by the Green Goblin Norman Osborn himself, Shadow of the Goblin will really shine. But you don't only have to run this card in Mayhem decks. Shadow of the Goblin is a fantastic card
epá,
in
certo.
any deck with graveyard synergies or discard synergies, and really any deck that often casts spells from outside of the hand. That includes the command zone, by the way. It's a Windmill Slam include in a mono-red
Eu, por
Inti
acaso, não adorei
Senchel of
isto.
the Sun deck, for instance. Both the discard mode and the pinging from casting cards from exile are fantastic in that deck. Decks like Chainer, Nightmare Adept, and Kess, Dissident Mage, will appreciate both the discard value and the pinging when they cast spells from
Há
the yard.
tanta porra
Fergie,
de
God
carta,
of
meu Deus.
Storytelling's flip side, also pairs well with Shadow of the Goblin. And on and on and on. But even decks that don't have explicit graveyard synergy might like running Shadow of the Goblin in their 99. Grenzo, Havoc Razor, for instance, is capable of pinging your opponents for a ton of damage once you've
Go.
assembled a board full of creatures to trigger its combat damage ability. One
Yeah.
little ping here and there might not seem like much, but this is the kind of card your opponents won't think about too much until suddenly they find themselves down to 10 or 15 life. Then, suddenly, every point you ping them for will really, really matter. And if
So-
your deck is set up to easily trigger that second ability on Shadow of the Goblin, your opponents will be in for some serious pain. Go on, take the mask. Take it. Is that a reference to something? I don't know, it just says that there. Spider-Man! So what is the number
Mas
one
está
best card
sempre.
for the night?
O homem está mesmo chateado com a possibilidade de haver cartas de Spider-Man, mano. Eu nunca vi uma coisa assim, bro.
99 of your
Porra.
commander decks. It's the Soul Stone, but we're ignoring that. And in fact, my number 1 pick for this set, and I swear it isn't my bias, but it's my preview card that they gave me. I can't believe they even gave me a preview card for Spider-Man, but they did, and I think it's the best new card for the
Portanto, eles basicamente deram-lhe uma carta e o homem ainda se queixa sobre o CD.
Commander 99.
Our
Qual é a
future
carta?
is to reach for the stars.
Epá,
We
é
will
estranho.
rebuild.
Peter Parker's camera is an artifact for
Okay.
1 generic mana. It enters with 3 film counters.
Okay.
You know, film counters, the classic Magic the Gathering counter type.
Fogo.
Well, Peter Parker's camera enters with 3 of those.
Ai,
You
é
want to take
bem.
a picture with Peter Parker's camera? Well, simply pay 2 mana and tap the artifact. Remove a film counter and voila, you've copied target, activated, or triggered ability. You can even choose new targets for it if you'd like. Isn't that neat? Hey, maybe you can sell the copy of your ability to a local newspaper to help you pay your rent. Just a thought. Peter Parker's Camera is an awesome card. At just 1 generic mana, it can come down early and be used to snap copies of pretty much any beneficial ability you would want more of. Need mana ramp? Copy a fetch land ability. You can copy planeswalker abilities and creature ETBs, and even something as game ending and evil as a storm trigger. Storm count is at 10, you say? Well, what if I got 10 copies of this spell twice?
Bro.
Yes, that is how this card works. At 1 generic mana, you can tutor for Peter Parker's Camera off of Urza's Saga, or if you have it in play already, you can use it to tutor for 2 artifacts off of Urza's Saga's 3rd chapter. You only get 3 uses
Shadow's
of Peter
Peter.
Parker's Camera before it runs out of film, but you can get extra film by pairing Peter Parker's Camera with Proliferate strategies. Hey, you can even use Peter Parker's Camera to copy, say, a Thrumming Bird Proliferate trigger, proliferating twice and adding 2 additional film counters to Peter Parker's Camera.
É aqui que o Magic me perde. É isso, tens que dar com o Proliferate Shadow. Puto, isto é absurdo, bro.
Not only is this
Há
card
cenas
good
neste
with
jogo.
all the cards that we've mentioned in this section, but it's good with almost every card in this video. Heck, go back and watch our last 3 top cards for Commander videos, and this card is good with any of those cards. And that's why it's our #1 pick. Can't wait to play with it on Magic the Gathering Arena. I'm just kidding. You can't even play Commander on Arena. And you never, ever will be able to. But those are, of course, just my picks, and now I want to hear from you. Which cards from Magic the Gathering Marvel's The Spider-Man are you most excited to put in your Commander deck? Do you disagree with any of my picks? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to go to tcc.merch, where for a limited time only you can pick up these brand new celebratory Tolarian Community College tees, hoodie, stickers, pins, beanies, and so much more. tcc.merch, not a sponsor, 'cause it's me, the professor of Tolarian Community College. You like the professor, right? Well, then buy my t-shirt.
Bro, os americanos têm esta cena com as... Pá, eu não sei, mano. Eles têm esta cena com os merchandisings, bro. Tipo, aquilo lá deve ser uma loucura. Tipo, o pessoal a comprar merch. Fogo. Tá bem, pronto, olha, ao menos deu para conhecer algumas cartas com esse senhor de Spider-Man.